Hey, what's up people? In today's video I will show you how to disassemble the Cheburkov Scout and also how it looks inside. Basically everything that you need is a Torx T8, and if you're disassembling this knife for the first time, you should also bring a hairdryer, because the pivots, at least in the past, they were usually Loctited pretty bad with red Loctite, and you need to heat this up, otherwise you will definitely 100% damage your pivot screw. And the body screws are usually not Loctited. Yeah, so my knife actually is quite dirty on the inside. I tried to show you, maybe you can see that. So you can probably see in the milled out pockets in there, there's a lot of dust and dirt. Yeah, it doesn't get cleaned very often, I have to say that. And which is good for you, because then you know how much this knife can take and all that stuff. It's not good for my knife though, but you know, whatever. I use it, so I treat it like most of my knives. How often do I clean it? On average I clean it like twice a year, and I have it for a little bit over 2 years. Mine was made in February 2018 and I bought it in March 2018, so a little bit over 2 years. And yeah, like I said, I clean it like twice a year or something like that. So I'm actually quite rough on this knife. The blade is very tight. I do not Loctite this knife, so no up and down or side to side blade play and anything. I think the blade centering is a hair off or something like that. Yeah, it's probably hair off, but it's quickly adjustable. So I do adjust the pivot like 3 times a year or something like that. Yeah, and not a whole lot. The action with this much dust on the inside and that little cleaning, the action is still fine. You can see it's still drop sheddy. Which, by the way, this knife that I have here has the light detent and is also milled out on the inside, so it may differ from the action from other Cheburkov Scouts. You can hear a little bit of rubbing. Do you hear that when I close it? Yeah, so there's definitely, on the detent ball, there's definitely some dust, and that's part of the reason I want to disassemble it now, because it's getting a little bit annoying. So with that rubbing, basically we just have 2 large body screws here. You can see in comparison to a Chris Reeve and Cozy here, those are big screws actually. So like on most of your high-end knives, you know, you also get the little bit bigger body screws and pivot screws and stuff like that usually. So the screw back here is also the screw that holds the milled titanium pocket clip. Pops out like so. I unfold my blade to not damage it with the backspacer, and so out comes the titanium anodized backspacer. The screw that's in the back is a little bit longer, because obviously, you know, it needs also to hold the pocket clip. You can see the screw is actually quite interesting. It's, like I said, a T8, but it also keeps a lot of its thickness all the way through, which you don't see on a lot of Torx. You know, they usually taper down pretty quick, and the other screw that is a little bit smaller is basically the same, just a little bit smaller. And then we need to take off the pivot screw. I do press with my finger on the backside, because this is a free spinning. Maybe I can show you this. No, I can't. But it is a free spinning. It's not spinning right now, but usually I can show you in just a second as we open it. It is a free spinning pivot, so I'm not sure if they have changed this already. This may be on the old versions. Maybe the newer versions don't have free spinning pivots, but it's not a big deal. Just press your finger on the backside. And yeah, there we go. Off comes the back scale of the knife. You can see those millings. Pretty dusty inside here. There is our detent wall. It looks also very dirty, actually. So, and here we have the blade. Whoa, you can see there's a lot of dirt on here. I will just go ahead and start cleaning it. And yeah, maybe I should clean it more often than 2 times a year or something like that. It's but like I said, it's a user for me. I not take care of it, but not too much. I only take my knives apart when, you know, they really start to grit up that much that, you know, it's not enjoyable anymore to use them. And I feel like I can damage the knife in any sort. So you can see those that black line that we just had here on the blade is basically gone now by wiping it off with oil. So, but you can still see where the detent ball travels along. And yeah. So this is all blade. And yeah, there's our pivot. We'll get to the bearings in a second. So the pivot here is free spinning, as you can see. But like I said, the new versions have a little bit, I think they have recessed the pivot into the scales. It's not the entire head is showing. And it's titanium. All the screws here are titanium also. And there is our bearing system here. Let's zoom you in a little bit more. So those bearings don't fall out as you disassemble the knife. They can't. You can't also not shake them out. It's and I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe that these are in fact yeah, I think those are steel bearings because they do magnetize. As you can see here, this is a magnet I have. And it's not, the case doesn't seem to magnetize. It's just the bearings themselves. So I do believe this knife runs on steel bearings and not. And they also look like steel, so I think those are steel bearings. I'm not sure. I have heard different information about that on YouTube here, for example, and in the internet world in general. So now I clean out the pockets. But yeah, I'm pretty sure those are steel bearings. I can show you a close up again so you can see it even better. Maybe you can figure it out, but because they, I don't know, from the looks alone they might also look like ceramic, but yeah, like I just said, the no, they magnetized. They are definitely steel bearings. End of the story. If it magnetizes, it's probably steel. So there we go. So a little bit of dust in the pockets. That's something, one of the downsides of the lightweight versions is that you collect lots more dust, and it's also usually necessary to take the knife apart. You cannot clean it very comfortably from the outside, so something to keep in mind, I guess. But I don't know. I like the lightweight. It's a big knife, but still, it does not have as much weight. Oh yeah, there's a stop pin. I forgot to show you this. The stop pin is also anodized and it's also titanium. Basically everything on here is titanium from the hardware. We have this Torx right here, which is not 100% sure. We'll just find that out in a second. It is a T6. So the steel insert screw fits a T6. So easy life all day, every day. The you can see the wear from the bearings here. So they're definitely wearing the titanium, but it's not a problem. They just remove the coating, the anodization a little bit. And this is after 2 years, and this is thousands of times of flipping it. So you probably will have quite a long lifetime of a Cheburkov Scout, honestly. The internal wear is not anywhere near concerning. So a detent looks a little bit worn. The detent ball right here looks like it has a little bit of wear on it, but we will check in a second if when we reassemble the knife, if the scratching is still there, the noise that we heard earlier before we disassemble it. And yeah, so you can see the lock bar has this cutout down here, and it's also cut in from here. So actually the lock bar would quite easily be, quite easy to break if you over push it, but the steel insert also serves as a over push stop with this extension right here that goes into a pocket that they have milled in. So you cannot, over push the lock bar here. So you have to first break the detent, the steel insert before you would break that lock. So yeah, there you go. And now we reassemble the knife. Actually, I start with the presentation side, because on the presentation side we have this pivot screw right here, and then put in our bearings. You do not need to put oil on there. I will put ever so slight oil in there, and this was a little bit too much. So just ever so slight bit of oil. Don't like to overdo it with the oil. It's not good for your knife. So, and then we put in our pivot. And then comes the tricky part. I've not tightened down the pivot completely yet, but I will do so in just a second. So I guess in comparison to like Cheburkov knives that have, they have steel washers, I think, underneath the bearing system, you probably get more lifetime out of something like that. But as I just showed you, the bearings, the steel bearings are not wearing the titanium yet to a problem where it is concerning. So here we go. The screws do not screw into titanium. You can probably see it. The titanium pocket clip has a steel insert in there. So there is no titanium that screws in titanium. So you place the clip, hold the clip on the back side with one of your fingers, and then so, and now we probably need to tune it still. So there we go. No blade play, up and down, left to right. I let you hear the action. Almost hydraulic as it feels. Very smooth, so yeah. Quite as simply actually disassembly and reassembly once you get the Loctite out of the pivot. Yeah, so there you go. That's how the Cheburkov Scout looks inside, and yeah, I think we covered everything that needs to be covered. Clean your knife more than twice a year, I guess, is the moral of the story. Thank you guys for watching and have a nice day. Goodbye, people.